Hi there guys, I hope you have had a good day. Now, Anthony Joshua will be preparing differently for Kubrat Pulev as opposed to Andy Ruiz Jr. in that second fight. Now, in the first Ruiz fight, Anthony Joshua was bigger and he was expecting to be fighting someone like Jarrell Miller, where there was going to be probably a lot of grappling and holding on the inside. That was probably why he was focusing on being a bit stronger. But for Ruiz, it's a completely different game plan. He needed to be lighter, but in that first fight, that couldn't be helped because there were a set of circumstances that could not be changed by Anthony Joshua, by Eddie Hearn, by the team. There was a late replacement. It was Ruiz. So what happened, and in the rematch, Anthony Joshua got it right. But against Kubrat Pulev, things will be different. Pulev is a different fighter to Andy Ruiz Jr., has a different set of skills as well. Now, just because I believe that Andy Ruiz Jr. is a better fighter than Kubrat Pulev, that does not mean that Kubrat Pulev does not represent his own set of threats to Anthony Joshua. Is a different kind of fighter. So while Ruiz is probably the better all-round fighter than Kubrat Pulev, Pulev has a different style and styles make fights. That is why this is going to be completely different from Andy Ruiz Jr. 2, even Andy Ruiz Jr. 1, because Kubrat Pulev is, for one, taller, bigger, not as heavy, which is kind of odd because Andy Ruiz Jr. is extremely heavy and extremely fast. It's just incredible how he is able to do what he can do. And Pulev, a bit different. More upright, European style, good jab, good backhand as well, good straight right hand. So ultimately, Kubrat Pulev represents a different set of threats to Andy Ruiz Jr. Ruiz is more of a hooker, whereas Pulev, as I said again, very stand-up, very straight, and not a lot of head movement. I noticed one thing that Pulev does do a lot is fall in. He falls in over his front foot and grabs his opponent. He done it a lot with Hughie Fury. He was mauling Hughie Fury, pushing him back. Anytime Kubrat Pulev did come over his front foot, he would grab hold of Hughie Fury. He would chase him back to the ropes. He's not going to be able to do that with Anthony Joshua because Joshua will be a lot stronger than Kubrat Pulev. Joshua is also the bigger man. Pulev is 6'4", 6'5". Joshua is 6'6", so he's going to have a height advantage, a reach advantage as well. So Anthony Joshua is going to set up a jab and a straight right hand, I believe, because that will catch Kubrat Pulev because, as I said, not a lot of head movement. So he's not going to be coming under those shots and bobbing and weaving. He's going to be there to be hit. So Anthony Joshua needs to exploit that. He can also counter Kubrat Pulev because Anthony Joshua is the quicker fighter. Anthony Joshua does pull the jab quite well. He did do it once against Andy Ruiz Jr., maybe twice, but he can do that. So while it may seem like Anthony Joshua does not have all that much head movement, he does have good lateral movement, which obviously helps as well with being a bit more elusive. He was quite elusive in that fight with Ruiz in the second time around. Also against Joseph Parker, he was making him miss. So that is a part of Anthony Joshua's game that he does have there. And he is quite versatile in the boxing ring, so he doesn't have to just rely on his power and big knockouts to get the victory. He can go 12 rounds. He done it against Ruiz, he done it against Joseph Parker. So he can box, and that's something that he can do instead of just going for the knockout and making it a 50-50 fight. Because against Pulev, I believe that Anthony Joshua outboxes him for majority of the fight, then gets a stoppage victory. But I don't believe that Kubrat Pulev is going to be a walkover job for Anthony Joshua. It's not going to be as easy as many people are making out. Pulev is a good fighter. Pulev is extremely motivated because this is last chance saloon for Kubrat Pulev. So I believe this will be a good fight. I believe it will be entertaining. I believe that it probably could be up there with one of the best fights Anthony Joshua has because Pulev represents a big challenge for him, a different challenge to what he had last time, retaining the belts for the first time since winning them back against Pulev. So this is Anthony Joshua's first defense after winning those belts back, meaning it will not be easy. And in my opinion, the best opponent that Anthony Joshua has had this far is obviously Vladimir Klitschko, then possibly Joseph Parker, possibly Andy Ruiz Jr., or in fact actually Dillian Whyte. I believe that Dillian Whyte could take that next spot, then Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz Jr., and after that Povetkin, but then I believe that Pulev is right there behind him. So Pulev is going to be a tough opposition for Anthony Joshua. He's only lost once, remember, has a winning record. The only defeat in his career has come against Vladimir Klitschko. And not just any Vladimir Klitschko, I believe that could have been a prime Vladimir Klitschko. That was probably one of the best performances I have seen from Klitschko. So while it is easy to look at Pulev and go, yeah, get him out of the way, go and get Alexander Usyk, the mega fight, then Tyson Fury, even bigger than that, another big fight, maybe a rematch with Dillian Whyte, maybe a rematch with Andy Ruiz Jr., all of these big fights on the horizon for AJ. But Pulev is going to be a good fight as well. I can guarantee that. This fight will be entertaining, there will be drama, and Pulev, I believe, is going to come in extremely motivated, putting in the best performance of his career. Will it be enough? I don't believe so. I believe that Anthony Joshua stops Pulev maybe mid-rounds, maybe a bit later on. But I don't believe for 1 second that Pulev is coming just for a payday and to lie down. He wants to win this fight. The money, of course, is a factor as well, because this is his last opportunity to earn a big purse out of a fight, especially against Anthony Joshua. So the money is a factor. But Pulev has one opportunity at the Heavyweight World Championship. After this, the belts are going to be tied up. Mandatories for Tyson Fury, mandatories for AJ, then undisputed. So likely, this is the last chance for Pulev. He's not going to let it slip by making silly mistakes. And in this fight with Kubrat Pulev, I believe Anthony Joshua will exploit the inside fighting game. He could not do that against Andy Ruiz Jr., but on the flip side, he can do that against Kubrat Pulev, because Anthony Joshua is the inside fighter. In this fight, he wasn't last time. That's Ruiz's best chance at beating AJ. This time around though, Anthony Joshua is the better inside fighter. And like I said in the beginning of the video, I believe that Kubrat Pulev does fall in quite a bit, especially coming over his front foot. If Anthony Joshua can pivot around and walk him onto a check hook, then it's going to be good night for Pulev. So I believe that Anthony Joshua will be working on the inside, not just grappling, not just holding. I believe that Anthony Joshua will be working on inside fighting, working on the inside. Because from what I have seen from Kubrat Pulev, he can fight on the inside, but nothing compared to Anthony Joshua. I mean, against Andy Ruiz in that first fight, Anthony Joshua knocked Ruiz down fighting on the inside. He got close to him, short uppercut, short hook, dropped Ruiz. Against Kubrat Pulev, I believe that could finish him off, or at least when Kubrat Pulev gets back up, if he does, he'll retreat. He won't come forward and fight fire with fire, because he does not have the chin of Andy Ruiz Jr. Not only that, the best chin in the business is the one that doesn't get hit. If you watch after Anthony Joshua knocked Ruiz down, Ruiz got hit once or twice, but he was ducking under, bobbing and weaving under those shots. Pulev won't do that. He doesn't have the same lateral movement or head movement of Andy Ruiz Jr. So when he gets hurt, Anthony Joshua will close the show, because Ruiz was a lot better at being elusive and a lot better on the inside than Kubrat Pulev. If Pulev starts trading on the inside with Anthony Joshua, it will end in a knockout, because, as I said, Pulev fights okay on the inside, but nothing compared to Anthony Joshua. And it's just those short shots, those short hooks, those short uppercuts. They seem to be so powerful and devastating when Anthony Joshua lands them. And he's so accurate with them as well. He can throw them fast with little power, obviously scoring shots. He can also really work some power into them. He can vary it. He can also vary his jab. He can throw the jab from his hip. I don't really like to see him doing that, because it's not really something he's ever really done. So Anthony Joshua often does throw it straight, and I think he does need to stick to that. He doesn't need to be throwing the jab from the hip against Kubrat Pulev. The only thing about throwing your jab from your hip is your opponent cannot see it coming, because it comes up as opposed to coming straight. That's where it can be quite unorthodox, and it works for someone like Tyson Fury, who does vary his jab. But the way Anthony Joshua can do it is change height when he throws it. So throw it high, throw it low. Throw to the body, throw to the head. Change height as well, and that avoids being caught with counter shots from Kubrat Pulev. And all in all, I believe that Anthony Joshua maybe being a bit heavier for this fight with Kubrat Pulev works in his advantage. I don't believe he needs to be as light as he was against Andy Ruiz Jr. in the second fight. Different horses for different courses. So, I mean, it's okay for Anthony Joshua maybe to go back into the low 17 stones. I don't want to really see him going any higher than that. He doesn't really need to. He still has power at a lower weight. So anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up, and subscribe if you are new. Thanks, guys.